Good evening, everybody. I guess I've been sitting for a long time, and my scholarship is about bodies. And it's sort of one of the things that I do a lot with my teaching, to move people around. And some grown-ups are not very comfortable to be moving around. But I'm going to ask you all to stand up and stretch a little. Just take care of your bodies. On the count of 3, show me the most scary tiger. Ah! 1, 2, 3. Ah! Now at the count of 3, show me a snake like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now your tiger. 1, 2, 3. Ah! All right, sit down. I wanted to thank you, Shana, for the introduction. Thanks to SPF, I have said this several times, that SPF is a gem in our campus. Thanks to Casey, Sam, Erica, Christiana, Jody, Jocelyn. I think these are the staff that I saw them tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. Thanks to Jim and Libby for the nomination. It's an honor to share the stage with these phenomenal scholars, Mike, Oscar, Regina. I'm not a charming or funny speaker. Those who know me can describe me more as grumpy or Joy Claire, or I'm a crier, and I can easily make people cry. Not that I bother them, but I share stories that are tearful. My scholarship doesn't really go well. Is this the clicker? What happened? Who? Oh, this is the one. All right. So I'm going to share a few stories from my scholarship and about the work that I'm doing. My scholarship doesn't really go well with food, and I'm sorry that I don't have the etiquettes to accommodate my scholarship for this celebratory setting. So this is a little bit of disclaimer that I have also on my syllabi, talking about how teaching and learning is very romanticized in this country, but some of the things that I teach is about people's pains, is about people's discomfort, marginalization, issues of oppression. So I wanted to share this ahead. I want to dedicate this presentation to the smell of burnt flesh and fat in Osama bin Zaid School in Gaza, a United Nations Relief and Work Agency school that was bombarded a few days ago. This is a narrative from a doctoral student at an urban university, which was distributed in a faculty meeting at Georgia State University, where I worked. At 9 p.m. during class, a non-university woman who appeared homeless and drenched gained access to the college building and found her way up to the floor and our classroom. As a student enrolled in this evening class, I felt very vulnerable and frightened when this unexpected intruder found her way straight to my learning classroom without anyone else, like security, police, front office, etc., knowing of her entry. So the student goes on, and the narrative portrays this woman as an intruder, as unsanitary, as dangerous, and themselves as middle-class students as vulnerable. So I kept asking myself, what these words made me wonder. And I asked myself, how do we know that this person is a non-university person? How do we know that she's homeless? Why do we think she's dangerous? How would people have reacted if she was a well-dressed white middle-class person. As a teacher educator, how could we educate teachers to teach the intruders' children who probably go to the public school in the neighborhood and yet be afraid of her? Reading bodies, people tend to assess gender, race, class, sexual orientation, and other categories, and create categories. Through quick judgment, some bodies become abnormal or inappropriate, some bodies dangerous, some become distracting. The process of the alteration happens very fast and lies on many conscious and unconscious assumptions that I explored in some of my research. I've explored how clothes as non-human becomes an extension of human body to contribute in racist, sexist, classist, transphobic, and homophobic actions. So here are some examples that we know from what is happening in our society, in our law enforcement, and in general picture. If a 12-year-old white boy waves, so I want to skip these slides, but I just wanted to overview some of the disproportionate treatments from teachers and from a school discipline, racially, gender-wise, with people with trans and queer populations and others. If a 12-year-old white boy waves around a toy gun at a playground, no one is going to assume it's real and shoot him if he does not drop it. When a 17-year-old white male walks home alone one evening in a family neighborhood wearing a hoodie, no one is going to say, he looks suspicious, or assume he's on drugs, pursue him, and gun him down before police arrive. And when an 18-year-old white male is walking with a friend down the middle of a street in broad daylight, no one is going to call for backup and fire deadly shots at him 6 times, regardless of whether he fights or flees, whether he puts his hand up or not. These are real incidents, real things that happened and incited this Black Lives Matter movement. Bodies matter. Some bodies will never have to worry about these things, and some others will have to worry about them all their lives. Some bodies are innocent until proven guilty, whereas some others are assumed to be guilty until they are killed and found innocent after it's too late. As an educator, I understand that our school system rarely does better than our law enforcement. When it comes to the bodies, just like the airport security personnel who find my body, a relatively tall Middle Eastern male, a suspicious, our school administration also, our explicit hidden and hidden curricula, our textbooks, teaching strategies, and instructional guides all tend to discriminate against bodies that do not fit. However, unlike the police department, educators do not see people marching in the street to protest the disparities. Therefore, educational leaders do not have to use tear gas to control those bodies. Indeed, the education system disciplines bodies in smarter and more implicit way. So the cartoon on the left side is the work of my friend Jim Waglam that portrays the similarity of our school discipline, how school disciplines bodies, and how they are similar to prison, to factory line, and to army. I started writing first for general audience. There are several publications of me at Atlanta Journal-Constitution about dress code, about how we treat especially female bodies and bodies of color in school settings. I have been featured in some podcasts talking about these things. So these are some of the publications and podcasts that, if you are interested, you can find them. This suspicious mindset. So this is the this is the poster that I found. This is real. I found this in a high school, in a majority black working class community high school. I confronted a poster all over the school. The poster titled "The Dress Code," including figures of 2 young adolescents, a black male wearing baggy jeans, bandana, tank top with a beer logo on front, and a white female wearing short shorts, halter top with a spaghetti strap and a hat. Schools imply that some bodies are more privileged over the other. They regulate and maintain the normative gender, sexuality, race, and class. Halter tops, tube tops, one-shoulder tops, muscle shirts, see-through or mesh tops are not to be worn. Blouses, shirts, or tops that reveal bare backs, midriffs, undergarments, or that have spaghetti straps or revealing necklines are also described as inappropriate at the schools. So these are exact language from school dress code policies that I collected. School administration is simply worried that revealing too much skin by girls attracts the male gaze and distracts them from academics. Similarly, acting dark, black and brown, gender non-conforming, and wearing clothes that of working class is disruptive for education. Furthermore, it foregrounds some bodies over their intellectual abilities. This suspicious mindset contributes in a structure that control discipline and create divisions between the human and non-human or less human, which makes some bodies available for rape, conquest, harassment, detention, or death. Some of these ideas are so normalized, are so taken for granted. These have not been questioned. These are some of the ways that I come to this conversation. So I identify as queer in different ways. I am gender queer. I am racially queer, meaning according to the federal census, for example, I'm supposed to check white because at some point Persian lobbyists lobbied the USCIS so that people from Middle East are white, then they can become naturalized as US citizens instead of joining the civil rights movement. Now I'm supposed to check white. I cannot apply for BIPOC faculty grants that like CSU has, right? I'm not qualified. But in my social life, I don't have the advantage. I don't enjoy white privilege. So this is my racial queerness, racial fluidity. The federal government still calls me an alien, which is an interesting way of being a queer. I have written about myself going through the airport security every time. This might be something that most people don't even think about, but this is one of the most scary things for me to go through. Every time I get pulled out randomly for a second inspection. This is a screenshot from Open Door Clinic after visits that I had. I told my case manager that as a person who is seeking gender-affirming care, I don't think it's appropriate to be pathologized and to be referred to as patient. Rather, I suggested to use client. And this is what they wrote on the after visit summary. The patient thanked case manager for their time and had one request that case manager refer to them as their client, not their patient, moving forward. The patient said. We have been taught from an early age to make quick judgments about people as a way to keep ourselves safe. However, those quick judgments can be very dangerous when we rely on stereotypes. This is what the security officers do at the airport when they decide to pull me out, and is what Darren Wilson did when he shot Michael Brown. Judgments about bodies are not limited to criminal incidents. It's rather a normalized part of our lives. In our daily life, we make those quick judgments constantly. We have been taught that bodies with threadbare clothes and bodies that look drugged are more likely to be dangerous. Many of us, regardless of our race and gender, have been disciplined to stay away from those bodies that don't fit the category of the normal body. We assess the bodies and judging how dangerous those bodies could be, whether in downtown bars, a city bus, underground trains, or elsewhere in public places. In so doing, we produce those bodies potentially violent and ourselves as vulnerable and potentially victims. Think about the parking eviction note. When we choose not to sit next to a poor male black body in the bus, or we prefer to hire a white driver rather than an immigrant one, or when we think an underdressed female body is sexually available, we reproduce values and contribute into an unjust discourse which dehumanizes other bodies. As an educator, it's important that we recognize why we perceive bodies the way we do. We are all positioned within discursive and cultural structures. These discourses can create violent structures and unequal power relations. These discursive and material practices discipline bodies. A school as a state institutions are particularly successful at producing docile bodies or punishing the bodies that resist. Thank you.